I'm meteorologist John Dawson. This is the Fox 26 YouTube Tropical Update. Glad you're checking in with us on a Saturday as I guess you would say it's good news when we take a look at what's happening because both of the systems we've been tracking are weakening. And so I guess that's probably a good thing to say, even though both of these systems are not really going to be impacting land. And we've been able to say that for quite a while now. Again, it's sort of good to see things kind of weakening a little bit as we just don't really need a lot of really strong storms that are out there. So Sam and Victor, that's who we've been talking about. That's who we've been tracking. I'll start down with Victor to the south, and you'll notice tropical storm emblem there until we get right to the 4 o'clock. That's when it's downgraded to a tropical depression. So Victor, now a tropical depression. When we take a look at Sam, Sam was a Category 4 hurricane, and with the 4 p.m. update on Saturday afternoon, you'll notice it drops down to a Category 3 hurricane. So still a very powerful storm and still very much out in the middle of the Atlantic, which is good news. So a few more details here. 35-mile-an-hour winds sustained from Victor. And at the moment, the Hurricane Center expecting to stay with Victor for maybe through Tuesday at the most. This system is definitely beginning to fall apart, and you can see how, even though the center is down to the south of the rest of the convection, the rains, the storms that are happening. So not a very well organized system. Now, when we look at Sam, though, and a little bit of interesting things happening with Sam, and the fact, first of all, it still looks very much tropical, although you see that eye closing up just a little bit. It is becoming weaker as far as the wind strength is concerned. I was just telling you how it went from a Category 4 to a Category 3, but its size itself is starting to grow a little bit more in general size. So even though it's weakening, it's getting a little bit larger as far as the physical size goes. And it's going to continue to track to the north and really definitely away from the U.S., but even in some of the other land masses that is a concern once it becomes a post-tropical system, beginning a little bit less of a concern. So expect the speed to pick up a little bit as far as the movement. It should accelerate a little bit more as we go through the next couple of days. It should continue to weaken, just dropping down to a powerful Category 3, still a major hurricane, but it's dropping in some of its size, some of its strength. It'll become a Category 2 and then eventually lose all of its tropical characteristics as we move through a few more days down the line. So Sam has been with us for a while and is still going to be with us for a while. What I'm most excited actually to bring you as far as an update goes on this Saturday afternoon is that when we take a look at what the Hurricane Center is expecting in the next 5 days for other development areas where we could see developments, there are none. So that's the great news to really report is we have 2 very active systems, but then after that, there's not really any other areas that the Hurricane Center is kind of monitoring for possible development over the next 5 days. So that's what I think is the most positive thing to report. And for those of us here in Houston, even more positive things to report in the fact that we've got a front that's draped across Houston, across Texas, that will continue to move down towards the Gulf, and that will be, again, this is the time of year where we continue to see these fronts move through. Those continue to be things that help us stay away from tropical activity for sure here in Texas, and then also that does apply to the East Coast as well. Just not quite as confident because something could kind of slip in a little bit overall. So again, the Gulf of Mexico, even though there's some storms that are out there, that's nothing organized, and with this next front moving through, that kind of helps kind of keep things even intact a little bit more. We do have one more name on the list that has not been used so far on the official 2021 list. That would be Wanda. So we'll have to kind of wait and see. We still have a couple months left of hurricane season. I feel pretty confident that we'll eventually get to Wanda when we have that much time left and we've had that much activity. And then we'll have to switch to that new supplemental list that we've been talking about using, but that would probably do it for our list for this year. Remember, they use a list every 6 years, so that list will be back 6 years from now, as long as they don't retire any names, and they'll probably end up retiring a couple storms from this year as well. Glad you're here on YouTube. If you'll search for meteorologist John Dawson, that's how you find my YouTube channel. All the great hurricane gear tests. When you think about preparations for hurricane season, that's a great way to find me. And of course, if you'd like to punch in at John Dawson, Fox 26, I'd love to connect with you on other social media as well.